I remember I walked up into St James's and my hands, everything, my whole body just lit up. I've got goosebumps all over my skin.
I get those goosebumps every time you come around, yeah. You ease my mind, you make everything feel fine. Worry about those times, I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too dumb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time I need the Heimlich, throw that to the side, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around me, throw that to the side, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. 713 through the 21, yeah, I'm riding. Why they on me? Why they on me? I'm flying. Sipping low key. I'm sipping low key and honest. Rider. I get those goosebumps every time you come around, yeah. You ease my mind, you make everything feel fine. Worry about those times, I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too dumb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time I need the Heimlich, throw that.
Good evening and welcome to Loaded Mag NUFC. Yes, we are back again. This is your probably fourth night in the trial, I think, Pete, of shows, but we're back again, and we're back this time to talk about Brighton, reaction to the Brighton game today. But before we get into that, Pete, how are you?
Not too bad. Football aside, yeah, had a nice day. Weather's been sensational. I'm not going to lie. So we've been enjoying a bit of the weather, out and about, and then just afternoon chilling. And then we watched the game, and then you have a whole different range of emotions having watched the game. But you'll know what I mean, Daz. But I mean, how are you?
I'm grand. Similar to yourself, we're just chatting off air there, looking after the little fella today. My wife's at work, and yes, lovely sunny weather here as well at the moment. It might change tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't rechecked the weather forecast, but yes, then we get to the game, and that brings us a bit back down to earth. There's still plenty to play for, plenty to fight for, and there's not long to wait either, because tomorrow week, the season will be over at this time, in just tomorrow week. So yeah, but let's get into the game, and we'll talk about it. Yes, housekeeping first. Make sure you smash that like button as well. If you're new and you'd like to join the chat, hit the subscribe button, and that will enable the chat. That's Chris's button. Chris will be along actually as well. He's stopped off at he said Mackie D's. I'm not 100% sure. You know, Chris, the priorities. But I'll be joining us pretty soon. So yeah, let's get into the game. And this was the team that took to the pitch for Newcastle. No Wilson, tightness, according to Eddie Howe. But back on the bench was Pope, there was Trips, there was J7, there was Barnes, and there was Miggy. And returning to the starting lineup, Elliot Anderson. Pete, what do you make of the lineup?
I think the biggest surprise is obviously Callum Wilson not being in the team. I don't think anybody expected that. I think there was murmurs that he might have picked up a slight injury. Then we saw the clips of him training, so we didn't think anything of it. And they're not in the team. So that was, for me, the biggest surprise. The formation and the way we set up wasn't a surprise to me. I thought we'd go back to a 4-3-3. I would probably say the second surprise for me was maybe the fact that Joe Linton wasn't that person, that they went with Anderson instead, which, you could probably say he's earned the right to start ahead of him. But for a big as game as it was, I just thought they might have drafted Joe Linton in for 50, 60 minutes just to kind of solidify the team. But they were probably the two big surprises for me, Daz. But what about yourself? Anything stand out for you?
No, yeah, I assumed he would go back to 4-3-3, and that's what I voted for in the Toon polls vote as well. That's what he should go for. No major surprise. Another talking point was, would we see Pope back in goal? But I know Dubravka still gets the nod there. I suppose Pope is. I think they have to test him though before the end of the season. But at the same time, every game is so important. There's no gimmies with what's left. And also, but with J7, who was a way better player than Conor Gallagher, by the way, Graham Bailey, I suppose he's like, we didn't think we'd see him for the rest of the season, so they do have to manage him coming back. And as I said already, there's a big games coming up in 4 days. 4 days against the big one against Man United. More on that actually towards the end of the show. What we're going to do, because I want to officially announce what we're going to do. But let's get into it, Pete. This is the Brighton side as well that took the pitch. Okay. First off, Newcastle had the early pressure. Followed by dangerous corners from Brighton, and on the 17 minutes, as soon as I brought that down, 17 minutes, Brighton goal from a corner, a Veltman. We conceded from the corner. But what do you make of the Brighton goal there and their defending on that one?
Conceding from set pieces has been a bit of an issue with the second half of the season. Maybe even for all of the season, but definitely the second half of the season. Like, just we've not been assured from set pieces. We've given up too many opportunities, but the manner in which the goal goes in is really poor. The fact that the ball gets to bounce in sort of in and around the 6-7 yards out mark for Veltman to poke home. Everyone just seemed really slow to react. Nobody's kind of on their toes. It's just not a great goal to concede. And to be fair, after a decent 5 minutes or so, Brighton really came into it, and it was probably their first real chance of the game. But they were starting to really kind of like pick up steam, shall I say, with regards to their intent. So, when it went in, I kind of wasn't surprised, which is not really like us, because even with the makeshift defences, we've been quite solid. But yeah, set pieces is definitely a problem for us, Daz, 100%, and it's something we need to work on for sure. But what about you? What was your reaction when that goal went in? What were you kind of thinking about?
Well, I have to use my swear button if I was to my initial reaction. It was because we started, we applied the early pressure, and then they had a few corners in succession, and they were kind of on the up at that stage. But you just didn't think that they were that. I just thought that their firepower up front should trouble us, but at the same time, I was just disappointed. I kind of the bubble burst a bit then. They go, all right. I was thinking as at that point in time, I was also thinking, who do we have on the bench? And I knew we had a good bench to change things up if we needed to later on down the line. But what happened next was Newcastle did push on to try and find the equalizer. They would kind of minor chances. 33 minutes, Burn header from a corner saved on the line by the keeper. Interesting the way they play out from the back. It's very, very tight, very, very short passing from the back. Brighton nearly in again on 36 minutes. Passed through the defence Welbeck took a touch, but Dubs collected it. Lucky enough, he collected that one. More Brighton chances before half time, but then there was an Isak chance after a through ball from Bruno. All together though, like we were getting crosses in, but there didn't seem to be anyone in the box to meet them. It was all coming down the wings. They were playing very, very. Their midfield was packing it out for us, or for them. So they were making it difficult through the middle. But then, right on about half time, we were, the momentum was building for us, and but what a perfect time to score. But Longstaff Gordon on to Anderson the ball across, and Longstaff with the goal to make it 1-1 just right before half time. Cue the celebrations from Longstaff. But what did you make of that goal, Pete?
I have to say, Daz, it was really good football. Really, really good football. And although that bad start in which we conceded, I was up until where the goal was being scored, certainly that 5 or 10 minute spell around that, I was actually really pleased with what I was seeing. There was an attacking intent from Newcastle. We were kind of in waves, just attacking, not quite getting the right ball or getting the right shot off to really kind of work the goalkeeper. But you could see it was coming, and it was a lovely little bit of play. So Lewis Hall just kind of splits two players, plays the ball right through into the path of Gordon, who makes the run outside of the fullback. And Gordon kind of does what he normally does. He kind of twists and turns in the box, keeps the players guessing. And Elliot Anderson did it a number of times. Hannah has done since he's been playing. He makes that little overlapping run on the left-hand side, finds him, and it's a really good find to just pull that one back. And Longstaff doing what he normally does is arrive in the box well. That's one thing that he definitely does well, is arrive into the box and unmarked, 7 yards out, tap in into the middle of the goal, and you're thinking, what a great time to score just before half-time. We get back on level terms, and you then start to think, right, the emphasis is with us now because we've got the goal back in. And we'd look good for that sort of 10, 15-minute spell before the goal. So I was really pleased about it. But what about you, Daz? What apart from the celebrations, apart from the going, what were your thoughts, mate?
Myself and Luca were going mad on the couch for that one, and it was 2 or 3 minutes after you had probably seen it, Pete, because even though the stream was excellent coming from Australia, it was probably a bit lagging behind in time wise. But no, I like that. I was thinking that's it. Now we can kick on into the second half. Eddie's going to have his say. We'll go up another gear, and we'll get the 3 points here. That's what I was thinking. But that took us to halftime, as we kind of alluded to. But then into the there was halftime guests as well. Spider-Man and Cisse were on the pitch at halftime. Probably could have done with Cisse up front, and maybe a cross in from Spider-Man as well would have been no harm at all. But nothing really happened in the first 10 minutes. Then crosses in to no one again. Same kind of pattern. 57 minutes. Isaac Ball looking for Gordon, cut out by Lamptey. Yeah, good. But he nearly lobbed his own keeper. The keeper got a touch on it over the bar then. But that was a dangerous ball across. Isaac was kind of playing more out wide then, or right at that stage. We were kind of relentless in the attack. Then we were kind of attack. But then on come three changes. And this is a big talking point in the game here, because 3 changes on 67 minutes. Brighton were making their subs as well, but Longstaff comes on. Comes off. J7 comes on, Murphy comes off, and Miggy comes on, and Isaac comes off, and Barnes comes on. That was the I wanted Barnes on the pitch, but taking Isaac off was a strange one. No, I'm going to stop there and say, but we did find out later. I know this articles. I know Jordan and Dom had articles, and everyone had articles out about the situation with the strikers, with both Isaac and Wilson not 100%, but Isaac did start. But what's your thoughts on that one, Pete, and those subs?
I have to say the others I'm not surprised about. So Sean Longstaff coming off for Joe Linton made sense to me. If you're asking me who was playing better out of Anderson and Longstaff, I would probably say Anderson was doing more in-game. Obviously, Longstaff scored, Anderson got the assist, but in-game, Anderson was giving us more, so it made sense to bring Longstaff off. A little bit more the same with Jacob Murphy. Jacob Murphy was giving us excellent pace down that right-hand side. But, it's the same conversation we have, Daz. He has these good and bad moments in certain games where, Burnley, for example, he has 2 assists. He's really effective in the game, plays really well. Today, he had loads and loads of pace, but his final ball was just not there today. Not there at all. He really, really lacked on that right-hand side because of it. So that made sense to bring Miguel Almiron on. In that sense, it could have been Harvey Barnes. That maybe was more of a surprise for me that it wasn't Harvey Barnes before Miguel Almiron, but I understood it because it was like for like. But then the Harvey Barnes coming on for Isak was the big surprise because it's Isak. Like, we haven't got Wilson. Isak's the main man. Was chasing the Golden Boot up until last weekend when Haaland decided to ramp it up a level. But he's our goal scorer. He's our main man. Like, and I have to be honest, and look, you've touched on it, guys. A lot of people have talked about it as well. Dom has obviously talked about it in the press conference after the game. Something wasn't right with Isak. Isak hadn't played well. Could I argue the fact that he'd been brought off? Probably not, because he really didn't have a good game. Like, he wasn't pressing, he wasn't effective, he wasn't involved in the game in any way, shape, or form, linking the play, running in behind. Like, if you watch him, and I noticed it about 10 minutes in, there was a lot of standing still. No kind of active movement to try and close people down and run people down as kind of consistently as he normally does. So there was something not right there. So I thought, there has to be a reason. I'm glad there is a reason for it. I'm glad it wasn't sort of like a tactical decision, because that would have raised probably more questions, in my opinion. But that was the big one for me. Isak coming off, but as we've already kind of alluded to, there's a reason for that. So at this point there, I'm looking at kind of, who's going to score is the goal that wins the game? That was kind of the big question for me. Yeah. But what about you, Daz? What were you thinking?
Yeah, I was same as everybody else. Who's going to score the goal here now? Even though I pinpointed, I thought the game would have suited Barnes, the little 1-2, and he glided into the back of the net. But it wasn't at the expense of Isak coming out. And I think Murphy, I agree with what you're saying about Murphy. Murphy is a great squad player. I'm looking forward to having Murphy as a squad player next season. He's grown on me over the years, but and he does a job. So fair play to him on that front. Miggy, I think, is gone this summer, and it's definitely the time for Miggy to be gone. But yeah, in the actual game itself, then I thought maybe Barnes or Gordon might get us that winner, but no, it wasn't to be. But we'll play on and we'll talk out through the rest of it. But everything was so tight, it could have gone really either way at that stage. Then zoom forward to 80 minutes. Barnes put the ball over the bar. After the cross that came in was a bit deflected, so he did react late enough, but it went over the bar. 3 minutes later, Barnes had a shot that was straight at the keeper. 84 minutes, ball is in the net. Yeah, I forgot about that. The ball was in the net from Gordon, but the flag was up. It was offside. And when you do look back, Miggy was slightly offside. So correct decision, I think. There, but yeah, and I just thought then that we lost momentum. Then that's, I think, if that stood, we would have gone and won the game. But it was just that our momentum was kind of lost. And then there was a penalty claim from Gordon, and nothing came of that. Lewis went off then, and Trips came on as well. Then Miggy with the dive. Why didn't he stay on his feet at that stage? But yeah, he got a yellow card for that. That was
deserved it. He deserved it.
He did. Yeah, it was like, poor
that
dive.
Was so annoying. Like, if he doesn't dive and try and win a penalty, he's in. He's in a position to either shoot or he's in a position to square it. And potentially create a goal scoring opportunity. Like, it's ridiculous. There was no need for it. There was no need for it at all. And it was a crucial moment in the game where we were pushing them late on to try and create an opportunity. Drives me mad, mate, honestly.
But in the end, we just ran out of time. It was just one of those days, really, in front of the goal. It just, everything was coming from the wings. Nothing was going through the middle, let's say. Bruno was trying to pick out a ball, but every time he put a ball through, or a few of the times he put a ball through, it was just a bit too far as well. Nothing seemed to work out for us in just in their box really. But yeah, full time 1-1 Q. The whole Newcastle family are on the pitch because it's their last home game of the season. Nice to see that, and the idea always do that, of course, as well. So nice to get everyone involved in that. But yes, is it a missed opportunity that then we put ourselves in massive pressure now, because we couldn't. We were saying before we couldn't lose a game or drop a point, but we definitely can't drop anything now. I'll bring the table up in a sec, but Bruno, you can understand why where the picture coming up. I have a picture.
I can see the picture.
Camper after the game. Well, he's here to win and here to get us into Europe as well, and being. Okay, can you hear me?
I can now. I wasn't sure if it was me or whether it was you. With it going on and off, is it me? I'm not quite sure. I could hear you a little bit. I think you were talking about Bruno in the picture.
I think I'm back. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, sorry, the internet is dipping for some reason. But yeah, Pete, what was your thoughts on what's your thoughts on Bruno after the game?
I put something out on social on socials on Twitter afterwards, because after the game I went on. I always give my opinion on the game and various other things, and I saw a lot of people and journalists as well kind of jumping on the Bruno reaction, and it's always kind of typical of our sort of fan base with this, when we've got like a situation. We do tend to look into things in fine detail, and that's absolutely fine. But one of the things that if anyone's watched Bruno Guimarães, you will know that whenever we lose a game or whenever we've not performed, he is visibly distraught. He hates losing. Okay, he's not somebody that can hide his emotions. He's not somebody that can kind of like smile and kind of grin and bear it and then go into the back and go mad. He will show his emotions there and then. That's what Bruno Guimarães does. And him sitting there and being despondent or distraught or whatever you want to call it, whatever name you want to give it, for me, didn't give question marks about his future, as some people have said. No. Didn't worry me about, he's going to leave, it's his last time at St. James's Park. That for me was a man that has given everything to this club this season, that has given everything on the pitch every time he's been on the pitch. And to be fair, he's been one of our mainstays on the pitch this season. Mm-hmm. And it was our last home game at St. James's Park. And just like in previous seasons, we want to go out in a blaze of glory. We want to win the game. We want to put on a fantastic performance. And unfortunately, this season, it hadn't happened against Brighton. I have to give Brighton their props as well. I thought Brighton were well drilled. They were well organised. They've got some good players, and you can tell some of them today. We'll probably talk about that in a bit. And Bruno Guimarães didn't get what he wanted. Like, he wanted the win. He wanted the sign off for the season with all the family there and all the players together, like we have previous seasons. You go back to last season when we had Leicester and we got Champions League football and all the family there, and it was all kind of hyped up because we got to Champions League football. It wasn't the same. And he's disappointed with that. And that's it. That's it. Exactly. Can't read anything else into it. There's no need to read anything else into it. He's just a disappointed lad that they didn't get the points on the board. Every game's tight right now. We win today, it puts us right in the picture for not Champions League, I wish, European football, Europa League, Europa Conference League. Puts us right there. We're right in the driving seat. We draw, feels like a loss to us. Chelsea win tonight, it's a different conversation. He will know this. And so there's nothing in it. There's nothing in it for him. He might still leave the club in June. May well leave the club in June. But that's a separate situation. That's not what's happening today. That's not what we saw on the pitch. That's just a guy that loves this club. Mark Byers, for example, he tweeted back and he was like, Bruno Guimarães bleeds black and white, and he does. He absolutely bleeds black and white. And you know what? I love him for that. I absolutely love him for how passionate he is, because Bruno Guimarães is one of a very small number of footballers that genuinely care about the club that they play for, genuinely is passionate about the club and loves the club and is bought into the club that he is signed for and is currently playing for. There is a hell of a lot of players that don't care, don't have the same passion, only care because it suits their own agenda, not because it benefits the club. He's different, and this is why I love him for the way which he is, and I don't want him to change at all.
Yeah, no, it's just, I agree 100% with what you're saying, Pete. It's just pure passion for Newcastle. And yeah, he in a way, he probably felt like how do I go and celebrate in front of everyone after drawing with Brighton, when he knows that that's what they wanted. Their aim is to get into Europe, to win every game, especially the last game at home at St James's Park. So it's understandable. But yeah, don't be reading anything into it. That is the moment he decides I'm off. You know, there
FX
you go.
Pro.
Fox Pro.
And these are the things that that I wasn't there. You wasn't there, Daz. Chris wasn't there. Like, we weren't there today. These are the things that maybe other people see that others don't. You know, if that's the case, like, he does this every game, but him kissing the badge, like, this is what it means to him. He absolutely loves this club. Kisses it every game he plays, every time he scores. He just loves and is passionate about Newcastle United, and you know, this is what it's all about. You know, you could read that in a completely different direction, which is what FX Pro is saying.
Exactly. So let me remove the banner for a second and let's look at the table. While my internet is still running, let's share it. And this is where we sit now. Still remaining in sixth spot on 57 points. So we've gone up a point, obviously, after the draw today. Chelsea, they got their 3-2 win against Forest. So actually, shout out to Gateshead as well, who won the trophy. I was watching that penalty shootout right before the show as well. So great. We went about 8 or 9 penalties. It was great. And to Rob Elliott, the manager. Yeah, but Chelsea are breathing down our necks. And let's just click on who they have next, because at the same time we're playing Man United, they are playing Brighton. So Wednesday night is absolutely massive. And then they play Bournemouth, the last game of the season. We know we play Man United on Wednesday, and then we have Brentford, the last game of the season. West Ham got their win today. They can't catch us anyway, so there's only one game left, so we don't need to worry about them. We know Man United have Arsenal tomorrow, so come on, you Arsenal tomorrow for that one. Then they play us, as we said, and then Brighton, so Brighton have a big say in what. Well, we're still in control of our own destiny, but if we were to slip up again, they have a big say in where things lie for us, where our final position. So interesting. Now, but Anthony, you want to say on the table, Pete?
Well, firstly, I'll just touch on Brighton, because you made a really good point, Daz, about Brighton having a huge say. Yeah, it might not be, and fingers crossed, it might not be the worst thing in the world that they've picked up a little bit of form recently. And obviously, we took a point. We only took a point off them today. But them going back to their own place at the Amex, full of confidence now, with Chelsea and Man United to play, can only be a good thing for us. Yeah, they're both at home. So yeah, that can only be a good thing for us, no doubt about it. So we'll take that as a positive. I mean, I mentioned about Brighton today. They have got some very, very talented players. I thought Asensio, I thought he was fantastic. He's barely kicked a ball for them this season, but he's getting back into form. And I thought he was fantastic for the time that he was on the pitch. I thought he was brilliant, really, really good. I thought Adingra was really good, played really well. They targeted our right-hand side in the first half. They really threw players down that side, and Murphy struggled defensively. Tino was caught out a few times. I said to you boys in the chat, I was, with the way that he played in the first half, I wouldn't have been surprised to see Trippier come on, but maybe he wasn't right to play a full 45 minutes, which is maybe why they didn't. But yeah, I was of the mindset that I thought they might bring Trippier on because we were struggling to kind of hold them down our right-hand side, their left. And those players were a big reason for it. I thought, Welbeck was causing some problems, but Billy Gilmore thought played well. Pascal Gross is always underrated, very, very good technically, and caused a lot of problems.
On forever.
Yeah, and at the back, Lewis Dunk. I couldn't believe it. I think he's like 33. Couldn't believe how old he was. Feels like he has been around forever, but still thought he was in his 20s for some reason. Him and Webster just defend really deep, really well, and it was always going to be really difficult to break them down. I thought they played well, but in terms of the league, look. As you said, we are still in that conversation. We are still banging it. We're the front runners. Considering we dropped points today, considering it wasn't what we wanted as a result, we're still front runners, sixth in the table. So
breaking news here, and I hope he brought something with him for us, a McFlurry or something like that. Where's ours? Where's our Mickey D's?
Boys. Sorry, I'm late, boys. Yeah, I had to go and do a little bit of clothes shopping for work, and last minute someone went, "Oh, can we go to Mackey's?" I was like, "Yeah, we'll go to Mackey's." Well, it was Mackey's was the busiest I've ever seen it, so we got slightly delayed. I got a banana milkshake, but yeah. How are you boys? You all right?
We're good. We've talked about the game. We're kind of on the table, but we'll leave you a summary section, Chris, and your thoughts on the game and where we are now before we move on to some questions or something.
Yeah, great, mate. Great. Yeah, so just disappointed more than anything. Huge opportunity for us today. I don't know how you boys felt about it, but it just felt like a missed opportunity. I'll tell you one thing I was pleased to see. I think it was Dom Skir, one of the Geordie journos. So if you haven't watched Geordie journos, make sure you do. Fantastic set of lads. He said after the game that apparently Alexander Isak was under the weather because to me he didn't look on it today. Didn't look his normal dynamic self. And I think I put in the group chat to you boys, that it's so glaringly obvious. As soon as Alexander Isak leaves the pitch, I just felt like the attacking threat was just it just wasn't the same. Yes, Harvey Barnes come on, and I thought Anthony Gordon was excellent. By the way, I thought he was excellent throughout the game, but we just lacked that real target man up front. And when Alexander Isak leaves the pitch, and you've got Callum Wilson who's out, it does make a massive difference. We much prefer Gordon on the wings, I think. But yeah, overall, disappointing. There was certainly an opportunity to get 3 points today. Brighton played far better than what I give them credit for. I didn't expect them to turn up the way they did. I thought they played well in large periods of the game. And Ciso, I thought he was brilliant. He was causing us a threat all afternoon. But yeah, disappointed. And just saw the league table then, boys. I was shocked actually because when I went in the group chat before, Pete was like, "Oh, I feel better now." And obviously I'd seen that Forest were 2-1 up against Chelsea. I was like, I can't believe it. And then when I checked my phone again about 10 minutes later, I was like, hang on, what's happened there? So in terms of how I'm feeling about the league and about, our proposition of still finishing sixth, it's in our hands. It's in our hands, boys. We've got a far superior goal difference. Chelsea have got winnable games, but then on the other hand, so have we. Just means we've got to go to Old Trafford now. All the pressure's on Man United. They're going to have to turn up to the Emirates tomorrow and try and get something, which I highly doubt, if I'm honest. But yeah, all the pressures on Man United. I think they could slip to 8th, if I'm honest. It looks like a clear shootout between us and Chelsea. Chelsea have obviously got the momentum. We spoke about it, didn't we, Pete, on away days with Maz for the Brighton away days. Chelsea have got the momentum. They're picking up the points. But as today's kind of proven, Chelsea can be shocked. You know, to go 2-1 down to Forest. Yes, they've pulled the result out the bag, but you know they're more than capable of getting beat by one of the two teams they've got remaining. For me, I think we're still in the race. It's still in our hands. We've just got to try and put this game behind us, get ourselves to Old Trafford in the midweek, get the 3 points, and bat the ball back to Chelsea and go, right, you've got to go and get 3 points now as well. That's all we've got to do. We've just got to keep winning our matches. Disappointing last home game of the season. Really, we should have won. I think we could have won. But yeah, we just didn't do enough. I just felt like when I looked at the stats afterwards, we had loads of shots, but they just I don't know, we lacked a cutting edge today. I just felt like there was something not quite there. Don't know what it was. But a few shout outs to make. I thought Lewis Hall had a good game. I thought Emil Kraft at the back looks sturdy. I thought he did really well, considering, boys, he's playing in that right centre back position, which isn't his own. I thought he did pretty well today. Sean Longstaff, obviously, with the goal.
Anderson did well.
Yeah, absolutely. Anthony Gordon, outstanding as normal. And I thought Miggy had a decent cameo when he come on. He tried a few things. Obviously, at the very end, it was disappointing because he shouldn't have thrown himself on the floor. But I think as the commentator said, he was anticipating contact and it never came. And then obviously, I think, did he end up getting a yellow card, Miggy? I think he did.
Yeah,
for
the dive.
Yeah. So again, frustrating, but there's no point going into massive detail on Miggy Almiron because we kind of all know where we are with him. He will always try his best. He'll always put in the hard yards, but ultimately, you know, he needs upgrading, and that's just a fact. But yeah, and as well, just to add, I thought Martin Dubravka played pretty well today. I thought fair play to him. Do you know what I mean? He for the goal, I can't really blame him. And I thought Nick Pope was going to play today, but in fairness, I thought Dubravka done pretty good today. But that's my summary. Disappointing, but it's not the end, and we've just got to go out and win the next 2 games, boys. Simple as.
Well, speaking of the next game, this is what's happening on Loaded. It's not a video or anything, no. It's just the poster. We're going to do a watch along. Payback. Over 30 years of pain. Payback. This could be the first time we ever in the Premier League finish ahead of Man United. So yeah, plenty to fight for on Wednesday, and at the same time, as we said already, Brighton are playing Chelsea. So we will be keeping an eye on everything across that on Wednesday evening. We'll be on before kickoff. We haven't set up the show yet, but that is us on Wednesday evening. So come join us, and as we watch the game and discuss all the details along the way. So that should be fun. Hopefully. Yes. We take some questions or comments. Pete, I think you've been looking at them. Keeping an eye.
Yeah. Something that I mentioned earlier on, Foxy's just said, Asensio made Tino look a bit silly at times today. But I thought he was sensational on there, and I do think he played really well. He looks back to his best. He's a player. If Brighton are willing to let him go, he's a player I'd definitely consider coming up north. That's for sure. But yeah, Tino was targeted today, didn't he? Yeah, I think he was a little bit better in the second half, but I think in the first half he was definitely a target from De Zerbi's tactics. Definitely. So, some questions here. We'll just. I mean, Sean, like that's crazy. Like it's a crazy statement, and I get people are frustrated. Like I had Phil on. I think he he tagged me and you in Daz, Phil on Twitter with an issue with Callum Wilson. Like, if he's not fit, he's not fit. But I don't understand why people are surprised by this. Like, he's been doing it for 4 years. Like, he's not. I don't know. I'll let you guys have your opinion on Callum.
Yeah,
Wilson.
well,
So I'll throw it out. FX Pro said Wilson proved today is unreliable, so keep or sell, guys. What's your opinions on Callum Wilson? And I'll say what I need to say.
Yeah, I know I have a different opinion to you here, Pete, on this one, but for me, it's if we can cash out on Callum Wilson, even though I know he's a brilliant striker, but it's just the fitness, and you can't rely on him for me. And I also don't think, I really don't think he's willing to be a third striker. So he would want to move rather than sit on the bench and be a third striker. When he's fit, he wants to play. So I think it's time to cash out on Callum Wilson while we can get something for him and invest in someone younger that is willing to buy their time as well, and kind of that Eddie Howe can mold, like you said in the interview with Gary Neville, he can mold them into something better. Maybe the next Callum Wilson.
Yeah, I'm trying my very best to not come across as a bit of a flip-flop, because a while ago I said that I thought Callum Wilson should leave. More recently, I said that I'd like to keep Callum Wilson, and I think I've come to the point now, and this will be me final decision on Callum Wilson for this season. I think I'm going to say I'm happy with either. But what I will say is, if we do keep Callum Wilson, we cannot go into next season with just Alexander Isak and Callum Wilson. We just can't. We just can't. Do I want him on the squad? Of course I do. But if someone comes in and slaps 20 million on the table, I wonder whether the owners, Eddie Howe, will look at it and go, yes, it's going to cost us 40+ million to replace him. But if they only want two strikers going forward, then it can't be Callum Wilson and Alexander Isak. It can't be, because unfortunately, as good as Callum Wilson is, and he's a top striker, he's far too unreliable with his injuries, and that's an issue. If somebody said to me now, we're going to sign a young striker who's 19, 20 years old, and he's going to act as a second choice or third choice behind Callum Wilson, brilliant. But if we can't do that, and you say to me, we either keep Callum Wilson and Alexander Isak, or we keep Alexander Isak and bring in a second striker and get rid of Callum Wilson, we'd have to do that. We can't go into next season with just Isak and Wilson. We just can't. So we either buy a third one to go with Callum Wilson, or we sell Callum Wilson and we bring in a second one, possibly a third one, because it's happened far too much this season, and we've seen it again today. And yes, it's disappointing. Do I think he's finished? No, I don't. It's just the fact that he injuries are getting on top of him, and he can't be relied upon to be that second choice striker and not have a backup behind him. Because if Alexander Isak's out, we're basically screwed. That's where we are, unfortunately. So yeah, that's my position on Wilson, Pete.
I have another one comment before Pete talks about Wilson. But I'm not sure either, though. Eddie Howe is going to be ruthless when it comes to Callum Wilson. He has a soft spot for him because he's brought him through at Bournemouth as well. So is he going to be ruthless when it comes to Callum Wilson? I'm not so sure. But Pete, let's get your thoughts on Callum Wilson.
I think this is. I think it's a perfect example of what people feel about Callum Wilson and have felt about him over the last year, and I completely get it. Is that when he puts the ball in the net, you love him and you want him to stay, you don't want him to leave. But when he's injured, you get frustrated with him. Now, for me, and I've said it before, the only way I think he stays at Newcastle United is as a third choice striker. Is that going to happen? As I said, not likely. For obvious reasons. One, we need to recoup money. We need to sell players. And Eddie Howe said in his press conference before today's game that players will leave Newcastle United, and he'll be one of them right at the top of the list. Secondly, the point that Daz made, he probably won't want to be third choice striker. And so that kind of tells its own story. We cannot keep doing this. We cannot keep going through this situation with Callum Wilson pulling up with injuries, whether it was during the game against Burnley or in training. It can't. We can't keep doing it. But that's not the reason I'm frustrated with Callum Wilson. And I might be wrong with this. So people in the chat, if I am wrong, please correct me on this. The thing that annoyed me about Callum Wilson today is not the fact that he didn't play, because if he's not 100% fit, like he's not a player that you play at 80%, because you're not going to get the same Callum Wilson. He needs to be either 100% or not used. It's as simple as that. My issue with Callum Wilson on the back of this, and it might tell its own story, is that I looked at the picture of all the players lined up, and he was the first person that I wanted to look for, and he wasn't there. Now, someone might pick him out and tell me I'm wrong, but I looked very, very closely. I looked very, very closely, and Callum Wilson was one of the players in there that wasn't actually there. And for me, that may well tell its own story in Callum Wilson's future. The fact that Sven Botman is there, the fact that Jamal Lascelles is there, both with ACL injuries, out until 2025. Matt Targett, who's out long term as well, with an injury, were there. Joe Willett was there. You name it, the players were there. But I don't see Callum Wilson in there. I might be wrong. He might well have been at the stadium. Someone may correct me. And if that's the case, I apologize. But that's what annoys me about this situation, is that, why isn't he there? What annoys me as well is that players like Trippier are always there. Yeah. Regardless of whether they're fit. Other players, they're always in. The winning photo. Whether they're fit or not, they're coming and joining the team. They're part of it. He seems to completely separate himself from it, and that's not a family feel. I don't like it. I don't like it from him. I love the guy, Callum Wilson, as a player, but I don't like that type of. You've got to kind of commit yourself to it, and maybe that's then started to get me thinking. Maybe there's already been a conversation. Maybe there's been a conversation that he might not have liked to say your future's elsewhere after this season. And maybe that's the reason why he didn't play today. We don't know.
If that's the case, Pete, if that's the case, then why are we being told he's got a tight hamstring?
Yeah, the tightness thing.
Yeah, that was the other thing. Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that, Chris, because that was the other point, is that within the morning, or sorry, the early afternoon, when the team news was announced, the stories changed twice. That was the other thing that I couldn't get my head around. 1 minute it was tightness, which apparently came straight from Eddie Howe, tightness, to then all of a sudden after the game it was illness. Like that again raises alarm bells for me, because that's not right. Like why a player is not fit. And if you're giving me two different stories within 3 hours apart of a game happening, that for me rings alarm bells as well. And that also makes me think that something else is afoot with this, and maybe he's not happy with something that maybe he's been told with regards to his future. Maybe.
It could even be, Pete. Could you argue that maybe Callum Wilson found out he wasn't in the starting 11, got a huff?
Maybe. But this is it, and this is the thing. Like I get it. He's very, very competitive, Callum Wilson. He wants to be the best. All the rest of it, blah 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 blah. But as I said to you boys last summer, Alexander Isak's first choice. He is the best striker at the Premier League. He's one of the best strikers in the Premier League. He's the best striker at the club. As much as we love Callum Wilson, Alexander Isak is always number one. If Alexander Isak is fit, he starts. It's as simple as that. And players might not like it, but they've got to get on with it. And maybe there's that realization that he's not got a future in Newcastle United, which is maybe filled into this. But that will tell you more about Callum Wilson than it would Newcastle United, if that is the reason why he didn't play today. We might never ever know this situation, but that was the bit that annoyed me. Not the fact that he wasn't playing. I get it. If he's not 100%, don't risk him. Have him available for Wednesday. If he's ill, fine, okay, to a point. But I would have still expected him, unless he's on his deathbed, I would have still expected him to still be there and be a part of that. Okay, even if it was just a bit at the end, maybe keep him separate from the players before the game, all the rest of it, and then have him there with his family and then come away. But it all seems too convenient that he's ill and that he can't be at the game.
I have another theory.
I have
another theory, Pete. It could be that he bought a whole load of radiators off this guy. They arrived and they were so small, the radiators. The small radiators that were delivered. But I'm just spitballing here. But yes, I have no doubt if you order radiators from Russ that he will deliver the right size radiators to you. So you can rule that theory out. But yeah, check out the Radiator Shed for all your radiator needs, and also check out H2O Bathroom Design Co. for all the bathroom room related needs to do. Let's carry on the questions, Pete.
Yeah. Right, let's have a look. Pope has been on the bench twice. Why is he on the bench if not fit to play him? What are your thoughts on Pope?
Let you go first on this one, Chris.
Very good question, FX Pro. For me, I think if Nick Pope's fit, he should be in the starting 11. Simple as. However, like I said before on my little summary, I thought Dubravka did well today. Whether the club are just thinking, do you know what, why throw him in, why risk him if he's not 100%? And they're thinking, do you know what, the defence are quite comfortable with Martin Dubravka at the moment, so, you know, why mix it up? But me personally, I would start Nick Pope if Nick Pope's fit. Will we see him against Man United through the week? Who knows? But I suppose we'll just have to see, won't we? We'll just have to see. But yeah, me personally, I agree with you. For me, Nick Pope should be starting. If Nick Pope's fit, he's the first choice goalkeeper. And a bit like what Pete said about Alexander Isak, he's the best striker in the club, and Nick Pope is the best goalkeeper at the club.
Linking back to something you said earlier about the Geordie journals, because I was listening to the lads as well during the week, and Jordan, Dom, and Liam were saying that like normally Eddie Howe's way, eases people back, putting them on for a couple of minutes, but you don't really bring a keeper on for the last couple of minutes. Well, you can when it's done at times, but it's not really. I don't think it's just you start and that's it. You're back. And I kind of said it at the start as well when we were talking about through the team news. Is it a risk throwing them in and something happens to him again? Well, it'll stamp that we need another goalie anyway, which we know we need in the summer. But it is a strange one, FX Pro. Why Pope doesn't get the nod over Dubravka? But as you allude to as well, Chris, we can't blame Dubravka for the result today.
He's still not good enough, though.
No, he's not. He's not.
Neither
would
is
you start him on Wednesday? Would you start Dubravka or Pope on Wednesday?
I would start Pope purely because of what I've just said. I mean, I wouldn't. I'm not going to sit here now and say, "Oh, we need to start Pope," because, like Daz has said, we need to start Pope because Dubravka was awful. But Nick Pope is the best goalkeeper at the club, and if Nick Pope's fit, Nick Pope should be in between the six. If he's fit, he should play. So me personally, I would start Nick Pope, but will he? I mean, no one knows, do they? No one knows, and maybe, you know, as I say, Martin Dubravka hasn't done himself. He hasn't done himself any harm today because, like I say, I thought he played quite well, to be fair. But at the end of the day, Pope should be in between the six.
Dubravka going back to Man United as well. I don't know. It all depends on if he is 100% or not, and how he's looking like in training, and if he's in full contact as well in training. It's not like there's still going easy on them in terms of challenges and coming out for the ball and collecting and stuff like that. And as well as that, you have how the defense works with them, because we have a makeshift defense as it is now, and tweaking it again. I know it is a bit of a gamble changing for one of our biggest. It's the biggest game of the season, and now this one, of the two left. So it is a tough call. I'm on the fence. I'm on the Keith Rowe fence here for this one.
Can I just bring this comment up? And Pete, obviously, you give your opinion on Pope and Dubravka. It surprised me. Unless maybe I've got to watch the goal back, but Foxy's saying that noticed a lot of people were blaming Dubravka for the Brighton goal.
No,
I didn't blame him for the Brighton goal. From what I saw, I thought Elliot Anderson lost his man, and I thought that. I mean, what else happens? Elliot Anderson lost his man, and really
there was a touch on from Welbeck as well.
Yeah, and Jacob Murphy, he's on the line, but like he's behind the line. Like I thought, do you remember years and years ago that Sir Bobby Robson went absolutely ballistic at Kieran Dyer when he was stood on the post and he just flicked his leg out when the ball come near the goal, and he was saying you need to be ready, you need to anticipate the ball coming towards you. I'll be honest, at first glance, or from what I saw, I felt like Jacob Murphy could have been a bit more, ready. It almost looked as if he was a bit like, oh, I better get to the line because the ball's going to go near the post, which I'm meant to be on. So for me, I'm looking at Elliot Anderson and Jacob Murphy. I'm not looking at Dubravka. But maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't blame Jacob Murphy for the goal. I also don't blame Martin Dubravka for the goal. I talked about it already with yourself.
Oh, guys. Sorry, Pete.
It was. I just think it was just really poorly defended. The ball coming into the box, not winning the first ball, allowing Welbeck to get the flick on. It was just really poorly defended. Veltman, I can't remember who he got in front of. It might have been Anderson, it might have been somebody else.
Anderson.
Veltman being able to get in front of him and out muscling him is really poor, to be able to get that little flick on front of goal. All those things could have been better. I do have an issue with Dubravka coming out and collecting the ball. He seems to be punching everything at the moment and not coming out with any sort of authority. But that wasn't what happened for the goal. However, for me, I do think Pope will start at Brentford regardless. I think he'll start the last game of the season regardless. However, I would be playing Nick Pope. I would for this big game. You need your best players to be playing, and Nick Pope is our best goalkeeper. And I think we may need him, particularly away from home. Dubravka has a tendency to have a stinker or two, and I don't want that to be at Man United. Because we need everyone on fire. And it's a game I genuinely believe we can win. But
let's play out a scenario. Dubravka stays in goal for a Man United game. Are you still putting Pope in goal for the Brentford game, and in a game where we need that? Let's say we need the 3 points. Are you still putting them in back in for that last game? Then
Pope,
yeah,
100%. For the reasons you gave, Dad, you said he needs to be given minutes. He needs to get games. I'm playing him. He's a better goalkeeper. Even with not playing regular minutes, he's still a better goalkeeper than Dubravka. I'm playing him personally.
Do you think? Let's do our devil's advocate. We know we love it. Let's say Nick Pope was 100% fit today, which I'm assuming he must be, because otherwise he wouldn't be on the bench. So I'm just making an assumption, because I'm assuming Eddie Howe wouldn't put a player on the bench unless they were 100% fit.
And he said he's very close.
Very close, right?
Yeah, very close. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I was okay. Well, maybe that kind of eludes my question, but I was going. Has he missed an opportunity to play Nick Pope today? Given that, I see where Daz is coming from in terms of, that Brentford game could be do or die, and then you change your goalkeeper for the last game. Whereas, would it have been a good opportunity to throw Nick Pope in today, get some minutes under his belt? Then, we've got the Man U game again, minutes under his belt. And then for the Brentford game, obviously he's been in net twice. Whereas if you just throw him in for Brentford, you're a bit like, ooh.
It's the gamble.
I get what you're saying, but that's part of the reason why I had a play Pope today for exactly that reason.
Yeah.
What better way to play him at home, last home game of the season, get him around his own fans, the atmosphere, everything else to give him that lift, that boost, being back in goal, having to take a couple of shots, a couple of catches, like you said, all that. But I equally understand it'll be really harsh on Dubravka because I don't think he was responsible for the goal today. He wasn't responsible for the goal against Burnley. So I get what Eddie Howe's doing. However, I also think in my mind, I'm thinking you need to be ruthless because there's a high chance that Martin Dubravka is not playing for Newcastle United next season. And should you really care about being harsh to a goalkeeper that's probably not going to be at the club? Nick Pope's got more chance of being at the club next season, so I would be giving my time to him to get him back up to speed. But that maybe I'm being really harsh with that. Maybe I'm being too ruthless. I don't know, but that's my mindset on it.
You look at your future, don't you? You look at your future, and unfortunately, Martin Dubravka looks like he's not going to be the future. It's Nick Pope. Whether Nick Pope's going to be number one next season, I don't know. But I would expect Nick Pope to be at Newcastle next season. So, yeah, no, I don't think it's harsh at all, mate.
Marmashvili, he's the future.
I hope so.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
That's not true, Rich, and you know it, so don't lie. But I'll give him his flowers when he deserves it. And Peter Moore says about his shoulder. If I'm right in thinking it's the other shoulder. I think he's done both shoulders now, so I think this is the other shoulder that he's done. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that was the case. And this is an absolute disgrace. Only 16 likes. Are you mad? Are you mad?
I'll sort that out.
Come on.
Smash that like button if you think Chase 7 is better than Gallagher. You know what to do.
Absolute madness. Anyway, let's have a look through. These are just comments. FX Pro was just mentioning today with Cook. Tight hamstring, failed a fitness test, Eddie said before the match, which brings us back to the point that we talked about before. Eddie says tight hamstring, then says illness after the game. Doesn't quite make sense.
Doesn't.
I don't know if to put that one on. JC says it was always going to be a tough game. That's what most of our games against Brighton look like. I think Man United and Brentford will be easier for us. Reds are shite, and we have a good record against Brentford. Either of you two worried about the Brentford game? Are you either of you worried about it being a potential banana skin? Brentford won today, I think, against Bournemouth. What do you make of that Brentford game? Because we haven't really
I didn't see. Yeah, I didn't see any of that game right now. But yeah, like they're safe. They're on 39 points. They're not in the mix, obviously, for relegation. Yes, as I just look at the bottom of the table, sorry, I'm gone off on a tangent now, but Luton have a massive goal difference to try and turn around on that last day. They're down as well. Forest should be safe. Sorry, the question was Brentford. No, like I wasn't worried about Brighton either, and look how that turned out. But no, it's just for me now. It's all focused on that Man United game. Get our 3 points there, see what happens in the Brighton-Chelsea game that's going on at the same time, and then reassess where we are. One game at a time. I'm going back to that Eddie logic.
Chris, you worried about the Brentford game?
I wouldn't say I'm worried, but I don't think it'll just be a turn up and get 3 points and go home job. I think if we underestimate it, we could be in for a shock. I mean, anybody, thinking we're just going to turn up at Brentford and just, as I say, go and get the 3 points is vastly mistaken. Not to mention, I think the biggest thing that I'll have my eye on is obviously it looks like it'll be Ivan Toney's last game. So I imagine he'll probably be bang up for it. wanting to, especially because it's against Newcastle, wanting to kind of show Newcastle what they missed out on, and also to, that I agree with Philip Ray there. I think it will be quite difficult, and I'm sure there'll be some Brentford players in the shop window who are maybe looking for the move. Brian Mbeumo being one of them. He's going to want to impress on the last game of the season if he can. So for me, we should win, and I'm not saying that I don't think we will. It's just that it's not going to be as easy as maybe some people think. I don't think we're just going to turn up and win. It's going to be a hard graft. So the next 2 games are going to be difficult. Yes, some people will say Brentford will be on the beach, and that could well be the case. We could go there and smash them 4-0, but equally, they could also give us a game with it being the last home game of the season for Brentford.
Yeah.
N9NE says he wasn't worried about the Brighton game, but look how that ended. Like, I'm not going to lie, I was worried about the Brighton game. I thought we'd win, but I was worried about it. They're a good side. They're a good football team. They proved that today. They've got some talented players. Adingra.
Adingra looked good. Looked really good.
Player.
Yeah.
Pascal Gross, quality, absolute quality. Billy Gilmore. Chelsea could do with him in their team. Like, they've got some really talented players. Like, I was worried about them kicking into gear, and they did. They had good moments. And I'll be honest, I'm worried about Brentford. Always have been, but I've always been in my mind thinking that we were going to be done before we got to Brentford, so it didn't necessarily matter, but it could well matter now. However, as someone else has mentioned, not necessarily in this chat, but mentioned after the game, we win against Man United and it's done, because I don't think Man United beat Arsenal. So all we have to, if we go there and win, it's done. We get European football, regardless of what it is. So it's all on us. There's a few other questions. Oh, to be fair, back to the Callum Wilson conversation. Andy Ford put, question though, who will buy him? He's so injury prone. Saudi is the only one, I think. Who is genuinely going to buy Callum Wilson with the injury concerns? Do you think he stays in Europe? Do you think Saudi is the only option for him? What are your thoughts on that? Because it does look like his days are numbered at Newcastle now.
Well, and let's go not looking for him in January. I know it's January. It's a difficult market anyway, so maybe they're casting further afield, and then there's somewhere they'll probably go someone bigger. But there'll be some clubs. There's not that many strikers that can put the ball in the back of the net around, as we talked about before, and with Premier League experience. But he comes with that baggage that you're only going to get half a season out of him. So that'll be reflected in the price, for sure. I don't know where you go.
What are you thinking, Chris? Where do you think Callum Wilson go?
I think there'll be a couple of Premier League suitors in for them. It's whether or not we want to sell them to another Premier League club. I think the club would prefer to sell him abroad. We know that Atletico Madrid's put in a loan offer. I think if certain clubs abroad, maybe around Europe, maybe in Saudi, get wind of the fact that Newcastle may be listening to offers, I think quite a few clubs could be in for him, to be honest. Yes, he's injury prone, but everybody knows if you've got a fit Callum Wilson, he causes damage. He really, really does. It could actually work in Newcastle's favour, actually, because it may drum up the price. Because I think if we were to sell him to a Premier League club, we would up the ante. He's not going on a cheap to a Premier League club. If say a West Ham came in for him, or maybe maybe an Everton or a Wolves or somebody like that, I think we'd up the premium. If it was Saudi, naturally I think it would be a bigger price. Out of interest, has he only got a year left on his deal come the summer?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Because I can't remember who said it. It might have been Graham Bailey, or maybe I read it online. But someone was talking about 10 million, and I was thinking, nah, it's not 10 million. It's for me, it's minimum 18 million minimum. Really, I'd want to be it in the 20s. Whether that's realistic or not, given his injury record, I think it will be for Saudi, but whether or not it is for a Premier League club, I don't know, because they may see that and just think, I mean, let's not forget, not so long ago, I'm pretty sure, tell me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure West Ham paid Aston Villa 20+ million for Danny Ings. So that says it all for me.
But same time, Chris, we bought him for 20, didn't we? So I can't
We
see
did.
us getting more than we ever bought him for.
In normal times, Daz, I would agree, but don't forget this is Newcastle's second all-time Premier League goal scorer, and this is somebody who's an England international and somebody who even this season he's banged some goals in, and he does. The problem is, I think with strikers, it's goals guarantee. You know, league positions, they guarantee, competitions, they guarantee. So I know what you mean. You do look at it and you think, yeah, he's 32, he's injury prone. But even if you need a striker for one season, you're forking out 20 million because it could be the difference between staying up or possibly getting Europe, and that's huge. It's absolutely huge.
I see what some of them said here. The promoted clubs, and then Foxborough says Leicester or Ipswich. Like a Leicester now, they've got Jamie Vardy. Who else do they have up front?
Iheanacho.
And Patson Daka as well.
And Patson Daka.
Still around.
I don't think they'll go for him.
Callum Wilson doesn't go to a newly promoted club.
No.
I think, and this is the point that I think you've made, Chris, and I agree with you. I actually think Callum Wilson's stock is higher than what we brought him. Remember, when we brought him for 20 million, he just got relegated with Bournemouth. Since then, he's been to Newcastle United, scored a shed load of goals, played at the top end of the Premier League, and played Champions League football as well. Might not have scored at Champions League football level, but played at Champions League football. For me, that puts him at least his 20 million bracket. The only problem is who signs him. Who signs him for that money? And then you've got the problem is that there's going to be a little bit of pride in Callum Wilson. He's not going to want to go from fighting for European football to fighting to stay in the Premier League. Like there's going to be an ego level there, and I get it. I understand it. Someone else mentioned, I think it was Foxy, about MLS. He touched on it too. The MLS, the MLS teams in general, they pay big wages, but they don't necessarily always pay big fees. And that always, this is where it kind of, for me, points back to Saudi. West Ham may take him. Do Newcastle United want to potentially sell to a rival? Maybe, if the money's right, if they pay enough. But that will depend on what their manager wants. So it's a weird one. It's a difficult one to navigate of where he's actually going to go.
It'd be good if he went to West Ham. It'd be good for negotiation because, again, like I said before about Danny Ings, you would be going to them. Well, hang on, you paid 20+ million for Danny Ings, and Callum Wilson is far superior to Danny Ings, so it'd be easier for the negotiation. But you're right, Pete, in terms of the manager, because if West Ham bring in, say, a Lopetegui, is he going to want Callum Wilson? Possibly not. Sorry, Daz.
No, I was just going to say I was going to play your devil's advocate, Chris. I think he goes forward because if I'm not Newcastle trying to sell him and I'm in the buying club, I'd be saying something like you bought him for 20 million when he was 28 or 27, 28. Now he's 32. I know he's played for England. He's gone to a World Cup. He's played in the Champions League, blah blah blah. But he's 32, and you only ever get half a season. So that I think you have more chance. Like the Saudi market is where we want to send them really to collect.
Definitely. Peter Moore says 20 million for 15 games a season. He's bagged double figures this season. That's enough to keep a Premier League team in the Premier Premier League. Regardless of how often he plays. But
and imagine they can keep him fit. Imagine this new team got 38 games out of Callum Wilson. Imagine how many goals he'd score then.
Definitely. Playing a different way and not playing as intense as what Newcastle United play, he might well get away with it in another team. Portuguese league, if Gocares comes this way, sign me up. That's what I'm saying on that. But look, lots of opinions on Callum Wilson. Of course, that's going to be a running theme with regards to us all the way through. So great question there that was put in there. Another one from Johnny Green. Question, lads. If one was to make the Europa and other to miss out, who would you prefer to miss out between Man U or Chelsea?
And you.
Yeah.
Because I hate them.
Yeah. Well, do you know what, Daz? I'll counter that because my heart was saying Man U, like you, but my head says Chelsea.
Yeah.
Purely because
I agree.
they're in deep shit if they don't get European football.
You want to ruin them.
Yeah. Because then they're going to have to sell more. They're going to have to. Getting European football will just help them even more. Even though I'd love Man U not to get European football, I'd much prefer Chelsea not to get, because even if Man U get European football, they're not going to do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
And yet, Chris,
I was going to say,
Chris, every time you go to London, you support one of their many hotels that they try to offer.
I know. I'm always in there feeding Todd Bowley money, aren't I?
But no, Chris, I agree with you. I'd much rather Man United get into it because Man United, for me, aren't winning that competition. For me, that's more of a hindrance for Man United, potentially by being in European football. And for me, I think Chelsea are better equipped to cause problems in the Premier League next season from what we're seeing right now, and European football, which adds extra finances to them by playing in Europe, is a massive thing. Now, Chelsea are very close to FFP. They have to get rid of a load of players, and they probably will. But you don't want them to be getting more funds to be in a position to be stronger, to fight in. You want Chelsea down there again and again and again, because as long as they're down there, it gives everyone else an opportunity to push up for that top four. Because Chelsea are playing some good stuff at the moment, and they're looking dangerous as we can see. Man United are just living off moments. They're very different moments. In my opinion, so I would definitely say Chelsea off the back of that.
I just want to take on this for a sec. That Dave lives in Ireland, and he's gone through the same pain and suffering with Man United fans than I have. So that's why he agrees with me. So we're aligned on that, Dave.
I get it. I think if it was on like dislike or for like clubs in general, I think most Newcastle fans would be saying Man United. But yeah.
What would you take, Dad? Would you take a potential Newcastle finishing 6th and Man U finishing 7th? At least we finish above them.
Oh yeah, bring that on. I don't mind that either. Yeah. I take that now.
Yeah, I would.
Quick one for this one, N9NE. We finished 7th. Man United win the FA Cup. I don't see that happening, but it's not done if we beat Man United officially. I'm sorry, I don't see Man United winning the FA Cup. I just don't. Like, they've barely got anyone fit at the moment. I think Shaw and Martinez might be back, but I think they've got a couple of other injuries that have just popped up as well. And in fact, I think Shaw has got a reoccurrence of his injury, so I think he might be out, either him or I don't know, Mason Mount. I think there's a few. So
Mason Mount's out for the season, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's only had to come back.
He's just come back and be like, the season's over.
He was on the bench. He was on the bench for one of their last games, and now he's had a reoccurrence of an injury, and is now out for the season. Like, I, for some reason, I think something might have happened with Luke Shaw as well, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong with it. Martinez is back and may well play on Wednesday, or certainly be on the bench on Wednesday because they've got no centre backs. But yeah. This is part of the reason why I think that they've brought Isak off. They don't want to make him worse, because Isak and potentially Wilson back in the squad on Wednesday, they could cause absolute havoc at Old Trafford. They genuinely.
Oh, I'm here for that. Payback.
Definitely.
Bring it on. The payback watch along on Wednesday night. Join us for that one. Hopefully good.
Definitely. Right. There's a couple of other points. Like, we have to talk about this because he keeps chopping and changing. He's the flip flop right now, Alan Thompson. He's revised his points total. Now he's saying it's 57 points. So he doesn't think we're getting another point for the rest of the season. Come on, man. We are getting points at Old Trafford. Surely, Alan. What do you think about that comment? Come on, talk to
me. I don't know what to say.
I know another man that flips and flops a lot, but probably no relation. But yeah, what do I think of it? I think you can up that, Al. 63.
Yeah, I think if you were to ask me now how many points we're going to get in the last two, I would say 4. I think we'll beat Man United, and I think we'll draw at Brentford. Will it be enough? I don't know. We can get 6, but we're not getting no points, Alan. I'm not having that.
That'll be enough.
We're getting something.
4 will be enough. I can't see Man United getting more than our 4 points if that's the case. But Daz, how many points do you think we're going to get? 2 games to go. How many points are we getting from those last 2 games?
63. We're going to win the last 2 games. We're definitely winning the Man United game, and then we're going to beat Brentford as well, I think. But I did think we were going to beat Brighton today.
Just to add as well, what I didn't notice, I looked at Chelsea's fixtures, and I wasn't sure who Chelsea had next, and Chelsea have got Brighton, and I was like, "Ooh,
yeah.
Away."
Yeah.
We said that, yeah. But, so Brighton have a massive say in our destiny as well. If we were to falter some way, and both the games are against Man United and Chelsea, Brighton are home for both. So I'm interested.
Definitely. N9 he said Shaw had a setback. I don't see it happening either. So that's their way to a scrappy win. No, don't do this. Don't do this. I'm
gonna look down to see what the odds are. I'm interested. Who do you think's the favourite for this game on Wednesday?
I think
I don't know. I haven't checked yet.
But I think it might be more even now. However, I think it might change tomorrow afternoon after the Arsenal game.
Place your bets now.
Yeah, it might flip back in our favour more handsomely after the game tomorrow. But I think we'll be slight favourites at this moment in time because we drew. That's what I think.
We are slight favourites. Slight.
I thought that might be a case.
Very close.
Jamie says, still in our hands, boys. Win both games and we get 6th. Our goal difference is way better. Absolutely, absolutely right.
In our hands.
It is.
Yeah.
Mark says, Newcastle can't depend on any team. We've got to do it ourselves.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
We always do it as fans. We always kind of will honour the team to help us out, but ultimately it is in our hands. And one question from, I think this is one of the first ones actually that popped up just before the show started. Barnes stinker. He didn't have the best of games, but what did you make of Harvey Barnes coming off the bench? Any just Barnes general thoughts, or are you in agreement with Trippier for Prime Minister? What are you thinking, boys?
I'll go because I think Daz looks like he's frozen. But for me,
delayed.
I wouldn't say it is stinker, but I was expecting more from him when he came off the bench. I remember.
He's on the delay. It happened earlier. I think he's gonna.
Yeah.
Chris, you go because I think he's gonna just quickly reboot. You go. Thoughts on Barnes, mate?
I agree with you, Pete. I think it wasn't his best cameo. But I tell you what, I don't know how the hell he got booked. By the way, don't know how the hell he got booked for that. It was the most stupid yellow. I don't think there was any malicious intent whatsoever. So I thought that was a really odd decision. But yeah, he wasn't at his best today. He wasn't quite on it, I didn't think, when he came on. But in fairness to him, we've seen him come on in other parts this season, and he's been brilliant, and he's really changed the game. None more so than West Ham. But I think, do you know what? Sometimes players just have perhaps have a bit of an off day, and I just felt like he wasn't quite on it today. And who knows, maybe it would have made a difference if he had Alexander Isak through the middle as well, because I do feel, like I say, and this is no criticism of Anthony Gordon whatsoever, because I thought he was brilliant, but I think there's a big difference between having Alexander Isak through the middle and Anthony Gordon. They probably make different runs, they go into different areas, different space. Gordon's tends to drift out wide either way. So who knows whether that has an impact as well tactically. But yeah, I didn't think I wouldn't go as harsh as to say it was a stinker, Trippier for Prime Minister, but I kind of see where you're going with it. I do get what you mean, because he had a shot as well, and I just thought if you just put it either side, or at least put a little bit more pace on it, he didn't hit it very well, and he hit it straight at the goalkeeper, and it was just a bit like, oh. But yeah, it was just one of those days, I think.
Daz, if you can
you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Give us your thoughts.
Okay, yeah, it's a bit delayed. My internet is dying at the moment. Must be the heat, as I'm saying here. But yeah, no, he didn't have a stinker, but yeah, I was expecting more of him. He didn't have an awful lot of time to impact it, but yeah, look, we'll forgive him today. No one did. We'll move on from it. Oh, my internet's come back. Yes.
Just to add to this, FX Pro said I would sell Barnes. He also gives us a super chat, which is thank you for your super chat. Would we sell Barnes if we got our money back? I think it was a conversation we had the other day. Actually,
it was
on the shows that we had. But yeah, what are your thoughts about that question, boys? Yeah.
Go on, Dazza.
Yeah, well, that's even interesting. Okay. I think, yeah, I can't remember what I answered the other day, but I think I would. If he does have a lot to offer, he will those 1-2s. We haven't obviously seen the best of him because he's been injured. But having, I think I remember what I said. I think I said if you could, I'd sell him and then use that money to buy a right winger. We'd keep Gordon on the left and use all the money we get from Barnes. And we, the how it goes back into the pot for us. I'd use it on a right winger, maybe even Rafinha that we talked about in our chat today, or someone. It's good, great option to have though. I think he'll have a big season for us next year, though, Barnes. So I don't want to sell him, but if it would give me the money back, I'd take it. I think.
Chris, your thoughts?
Yeah, I remember what Daz said to this question, because I'm pretty sure it was me that asked him, and I agreed with Daz in Daz's answer. Because of my question, Daz, if you remember, it was a bit of a devil's advocate one. So me and FX Pro must be on the same page, because I asked you both. I said, if Eddie could rewind the clock, do you think he would cash in on Barnes, take the 38 million back, and possibly put it on a right winger? So for me, I think if we got offered 40 million, so we're making a little 2 million profit. I think we would cash in on Barnes, but that's not to say I want to get rid of him, because I don't. Yeah. I think he's been unlucky this season as well. I think we'll see a different Harvey Barnes next season. I think a fully fit Harvey Barnes with a full pre-season behind him, even more time with Eddie doing his tactics and whatnot, and understanding the system more, maybe getting more football as well. I think it'll make a huge difference. But being honest, if someone slapped 40 million on the table right now, I'd sell, because I think we would need more balance on the right. I'd rather put that 40 million on the right, if I'm being honest. And obviously we've got Anthony Gordon on the left, Alexander Isak can play on the left, Joe Linton can play on the left, Elliot Anderson can play on the left. Whereas on the right, I think we need a big upgrade.
Leicester.
Well, Leicester can't afford him. They're probably gonna have a points deduction before the season starts anyway. So I don't think they'll be in a position to afford that. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Like if we get 40 million for him, I think the club would probably accept it. I think Harvey Barnes has got a lot still to do at Newcastle United. I think he's going to have still a big say on his Newcastle United career, but I also think European football is going to be a big say in that as well. I think he's going to get a lot of his football potentially next season in Europe, where we maybe rest Gordon and don't play Gordon in those games, or bring Gordon off the bench to give Barnes his football. I think Barnes likes to play regular football in order to be in tip-top shape, and maybe that's what I saw from Harvey Barnes today is a player that's desperate to impress and is snapping at his shots and snapping at his opportunities and not kind of taking the game as it comes. And I think he needs to be playing regular football. So I think European football will be big. The cup games will be big. I think the Premier League games will be for Gordon. And I think Barnes will play potentially all the other games, and we'll see a different Harvey Barnes next season. So we just got to be patient with him. This is his worst season for injuries, and we just need to be mindful of that. But yeah, I think we're about it for questions. There's just comments. There's comments that people have put for various different things. Probably end on this one. Shaw back for Wednesday. There's rumours that he's back for Wednesday. So yeah, fingers crossed for that one. Maybe this one for the last one. Who was your man of the match?
Elliot Anderson for me. I thought he was I know he's slightly at fault maybe for the goal, but he got the assist. He didn't deserve to be taken off. He wasn't obviously taken off, but he didn't deserve to go. I'm going to give it to Elliot Anderson.
For me, it was close run between Emil Kraft. I thought Emil Kraft was really, really good today, particularly because he's been played out of position, and he's really looking like a solid option for us now in that defence. And Eddie Howe's put his trust in him, and I thought today he was really good. But my man of the match was Anthony Gordon. I just think every time he gets the ball, he just looks a threat. And you know what? Again, I had one of those moments where I reverted back to the Amazon Prime video, and when the owners and Eddie Howe were saying he's the number one target, we think he can be one of the best in the Premier League. And I remember watching it and thinking, use him out. I've seen him at Goodison Park a few times, and obviously I've watched him on various times, and I've thought he's not going to be one of the best in the Premier League, but he shoved that right down my throat, because now every time I watch Anthony Gordon, I think he's one of, if not the best winger in the Premier League, and so much so. He's so important to this team, and the fact that Eddie Howe resists all temptation to take him off the pitch, and he just wants him on the pitch, and he trusts him, and I think he's come of age this season. I think he's been absolutely brilliant, and I'm made up that he won Player of the Season because I think it was fully deserved. So for me today, on his performance, I'd say Anthony Gordon.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you about Kraft. I don't think Kraft had.
You don't think he was good? I thought he was good, mate. I thought he was good.
I think, just from my opinion, I just think Kraft emphasised the point that we really missed Fabian Schär today.
We'll always miss Fabian Schär, mate. I do agree with that. Fabian Schär's brilliant, but I don't know. I thought he done good today. I was pleased with him, but I take your point. Fabian Schär's fit. He's right back in.
I actually thought Dan Burn played really well. He was kind of in my running man of the match. I think he's been playing really well recently. I thought he had another really good game. But I would say Anthony Gordon was definitely in the running. Bruno Guimarães as well. You've got Anthony Gordon, which is probably who I would have gone for. So I will go with Lewis Hall. I thought Lewis Hall was brilliant. Lewis Hall for me is game in, game out, making me feel more confident that we don't need to go out and get a first choice left back. A first choice left back, which a month or two ago we probably would have said we needed to do.
Theo Hernandez, yeah.
Well, if Theo Hernandez was available at the right price, I think anybody. But I think someone that's 19 years old, playing regularly in the Premier League and playing really well in the Premier League, I think we've got a real gem on our hands. His transition plays is fantastic. I love the way he plays. That ball that set up the goal for Newcastle United today was absolutely exquisite.
It was brilliant.
Yeah, so I'm going to go. Because you've gone Gordon, Chris. I'm going to go Lewis Hall. I thought he was superb.
Boys, I know we're wrapping up. I've got to ask you this question. Great question from Wayne Patton. Wayne, welcome to the chat, mate. And brilliant question. I've got to ask you this before we go. Would you sell Gordon if it meant we keep Isaac and Bruno? I keep saying Isaac and Isak. I keep getting mixed up. Yeah, Isak, I usually say. Would you sell Gordon if it meant we keep Isak and Bruno?
I don't like that question. That's an awful question.
It's a hard question, that, isn't it? I just seen it come in then and I thought, ooh.
Because for me, it's Bruno, Isak, Gordon, Tino Livramento, it's a Botman that I you can't touch. So he's in the category, same category as Isaac and Bruno for me.
But you've got to answer this.
No, I'm not selling. Not selling Gordon either. What do I do with all the flash tunes I have here? All
I
the,
know.
Can't ruin that.
Play for Wayne.
Up for Wayne.
For Wayne.
Right, here we go.
Flash. Savior of the universe. Flash.
There we go. Yeah, we'll. It's a no. It's a no from me. Pete.
It's a horrible question, isn't it? It's a horrible question. Good question, but you know what I mean. It's difficult.
Yeah, if I was pushed on it, you'd probably say yeah. I'd probably say yeah. And what in order to keep Isaac and Bruno?
Yeah. So if the answer's no, if the answer's you want to keep Gordon, I didn't ask Daz this. If you're keeping Gordon, you've got to lose Isaac or Bruno. So you'd have to say which one you want to lose. If you're saying that you keep Gordon,
I'm sorry, people might not agree with me, but I'm selling Gordon. And these are for the reasons there are not many strikers in world football that can do what Alexander Isak can do. You struggle. You're paying 100 million plus to replace what Isak can do. This is why we rate him above 100 million. You can't do that. Bruno Guimarães, maybe slightly different conversation, but again, he is absolutely pivotal to what Newcastle United do as a midfielder. And if I'm selling Gordon, I'm getting Rafa Leao from AC Milan, and we're back in business again.
I'd rather keep Gordon than Rafa Leao now.
Yeah, but I'm saying on the back of Isaac and Bruno. Like what the point that I'm making is that of course I want to keep Gordon. I love Gordon. I think he's had a sensational season, but it goes back to the point. Gordon is more easily replaced than Isaac in terms of a striker and Bruno in midfield.
Chris, you two.
This is going to be controversial. This, I'm half agreeing with Pete, and then I'm going the other way. So I agree.
Flip-flopping.
Isaac's not going anywhere. Like that's not up for debate. I'd probably let Bruno go and keep Gordon. And I know that sounds crazy, but Wayne Patton's agreeing. I know that sounds crazy, and I don't want to lose all five that we've just spoken about. You know, the Botman, Isaac, Bruno, Botman, Isaac, Bruno, Gordon, Livramento. They're the five that I wouldn't want to lose. But I think it's because, like, emotionally, I've kind of accepted the fact that Bruno will go at some point. Whereas with Gordon, I could see Gordon staying here for 5 or 6 years. I could, if not longer. So I'm thinking long term. So it's a bit of a cheat, really, how I'm answering it. It's because I expect Bruno to go. I expect Bruno. I think if Newcastle won something next season, I think Bruno would go. It's a horrible question, though. It is a horrible question because I don't want to lose any of them. Really, I'd like to.
People will, because of what you've just said, because people are already kind of preparing themselves to lose Bruno. I think it's easier to say, yeah, Bruno. Yeah, we'll sell Bruno. But I tell you what, there are not many Brunos around in world football.
Oh, God, no.
There are not.
No.
And it's easy to say, oh, yeah, I'll get rid of Bruno. I'll keep Gordon. And Gordon's had a great season and all the rest of it. But Bruno's had a good 2.5 seasons. He's been fantastic for 2.5 years. I can guarantee you when Bruno leaves this club, we are going to miss him. And we will be having conversations on this channel going, we miss Bruno. We miss what he gives us. We miss his passion. We miss his love. We miss his quality. It's easy to discard a player when he's currently playing for your club. But when he's not, we are going to miss him. For me, as much as I love Anthony Gordon, he's had a sensational season and hopefully continues to do the same. A left winger, I could probably name 3, 4, 5 other left wingers that we could use with that money that we could replace and that left winger could potentially give us what Anthony Gordon gives us. Maybe not his running and work rate, but his absolute quality in front of goal.
Boys,
Yeah,
I'm sorry to. Oh, sorry, go on, Paz. Go on, mate.
I was going to say, does he have one of these though?
Gordon. No, it's fine. Sing it and you can have a point. Gordon, running down the wing, Gordon. Hit the Jordan, sing, Gordon. We are going to Madrid.
Yes, just too much stuff.
Best fans in the world. We'll come up with a new one.
We will. Sorry to prolong this, only because I will rewind and I'll watch the first half hour, but I just wanted to know your boys' thoughts on Joe Linton. How do you think Joe Linton played when he come on?
Go on, Daz.
I don't really have an answer for this. He broke up play a bit. He did kind of try to bulldoze his way. The first thing he did is give away a free kick, and I was like, "Oh Jesus!" But yeah, he just needs game time really, and maybe to start a game. He didn't do anything spectacular when he came on. Chris, Pete.
One of the things that concerned me when he came on is that they played him on the right side of midfield. He plays on the left. So he was a little bit out of sorts there. And the other thing is the reason why I wish they started him rather than bringing him off the bench is that for me, when Joe Linton's coming off the bench, having been injured for 4 or 5 months, he is trying too hard to impress. He's trying too hard with what he's doing. Joe Linton, had he started the game, would have eased himself into the game, and you would have seen a far better performance. For me, like I say, he was trying too hard to make a difference because we were chasing the winning goal. For me, he has to start on Wednesday. It wasn't the best performance from him, but for the reasons that I've just said, are the reasons why I don't think he played well. It's not anything down to him. For me, he plays on the left-hand side. You switch Anderson onto the right. You sacrifice him. Joe Linton's the better player. You play your better players in the best positions.
Yeah. And
everybody else fills the spot. That's what I got from that today.
Cool. Right, let's wrap it up there. Give a shout out as well to Manscaped. You'll see the code of loaded20 running across the bottom there for most of the show on and off. So you get 20% off and free shipping if you use that code loaded20. That will sort you out. We are back, as we said, on Wednesday for the watch along, payback watch along. So join us then, unless there's some breaking news in between now and then that we may jump on and do a show as well. But that is us on Wednesday for a live watch along. So that should be good. That is it. Thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you smash that like button on the way out, and we shall see you very soon. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, everyone. Go on Ireland in the Eurovision as well. It's the only thing we ever can win. Good luck. Good night.
Drink it, like me, then tell me if you like that.